Hello, dear students. This is Professor Dr. Zia Ahmed once again. We are going to record today for you people a lecture on Paradise Lost. I believe that all of you might have seen the syllabus contents. There we have book one. Many of the lectures have been recorded on book one, and now it is going to be book nine, where the reading of the text has not been planned in the study scheme. Only introduction to that book, a summary view, and a critical opinion on that. So, therefore, today I shall be introducing to you book nine. But before I proceed to book 9, I must remind my students that Paradise Lost is a biblical story on which Milton wrote a very grand epic like poem. The main characters, according to that book 1 we have studied, are Adam, Eve, and Satan. Last time on all the lectures, we have been finding how Satan was defeated, thrown down into the hell, and what kind of situation he was facing in the hell. Description of hell a little bit, and after that, how Satan planned in order to invade back the domain or dominion of God in order to take some revenge. And he accepted that he cannot take revenge because God is superior, God is the most powerful person. So, in that way, he planned certain subterfuge or certain clever kind of planning through which he will be dissuading the human beings and converting them away from God towards his own side. And in that way, he says that he shall be feeling satisfied and very happy. And God would be displeased with that. On this mission, he continues. So, after book 1, there are 7 more books which have been skipped from our study scheme. Book 9 is important because here a turning point takes place. The turning point is that here Milton focuses more on 2 things: that what is free will, and after that, how much disobedience can cause some tragic events, and that vulnerability of the human beings is there, that apparently they may be very faithful, they may be very honest, and they may be carrying on their demeanor or the style of life in a very perfect way. But temptation is the greatest issue for the human being. Temptation, by temptation, you can understand that something which is very attractive, it's told to us in a very attractive way. Human beings have this tendency that they may be losing their attention on their basic focuses like faith or like other things. So, book 9 is going to talk to us about that. Here, we may not be witnessing that Satan, who is so, proving himself in the book 1 as a very powerful person, and is claiming that after God, he's the most powerful person, and is claiming that his merit has been injured, and is claiming to wage a kind of fight with God. So, this was the grandest posture of Satan given to us by Milton in the first book only. Here we see that he becomes quite below to that level. And this is the very level where we cannot assign him the hero of this tale, Paradise Lost. He loses the status because he crawls down like a snake and bends down like a snake and takes the subterfuge. So all these things do not make him a point on the stage of being a protagonist or that of the hero of the story. He becomes a degenerated figure in book 9. Because we can see here that in book 9, he approaches Eve, the mother of mankind, and stealthily enters in heaven. No, it is not possible for him to enter in heaven openly. He stealthily enters in heaven. And because of that stealthiness, what he feels or what we feel about him, that he is no more a great personality. He has entered into heaven in a very stealth-like way, in a very secret-like way, and in a very deceiving-like way. So all this secretiveness, deception are not the qualities of a hero, as the hero were deemed to be in Aristotelian sense of the word. Though today's hero may be different from this day, as my students also can also be the heroes, but that's a different matter now, right? So Saturn is now no more a type of hero, rather he is trying to exploit something which is possibly the characteristic of human being, that human beings do have a tendency to fall victim to or fall a prey to some kind of temptation if it is beautiful. So therefore, this man not a man, we should say, we said this creature, Satan approaches Eve in heaven secretively and tempts her to eat the fruit and counts the benefits of eating of the fruit. And he counts them in such a way that his narrative becomes the most beautiful narrative. So there are two point agenda of Satan that he should tempt Eve, and Eve is there to be tempted by him because of the beautiful words and the beautiful narrative, or the way he counts the benefits of eating that fruit, which God had prohibited at all. God had prohibited that this fruit should not be eaten in heaven, and if it is eaten, then definitely punishment would be there. Eve ignores these orders of God because of the temptation, because of the human weakness that we carry, that the evil temptation can tempt us, and we can go to that path also which has been forbidden by God. And that is why Eve agrees with him that she may be eating that fruit. Now the next was the issue, another issue, how Adam would be agreed. Now, Satan does not have the courage to go to Adam and ask him also to eat that fruit. He cannot do so because he believes that Adam's belief is very strong. So that is why he has attacked, according to him, the weakness of Eve, which is definitely the weakness of Adam as well. Because when Eve approaches Adam, she tells him the benefit of eating of that fruit. She tells him the good and very excellent type of consequences. First of all, Adam refuses because he thinks that it will be a big mistake in the heaven to disobey the orders of God. But later on he says that he cannot avoid Eve. He cannot remain away from Eve. He loves Eve, and that is why he has to follow Eve, whatever Eve wants to say or whatever Eve wants to do. And as Eve is 100% convinced by Satan, by devil, that the benefits are 100%, and she should be following that benefits, and as a result, she tells those benefits to Adam also. And with love, she tempts him. Adam is here to fall a victim to, again, the emotional nature that man has got, that he also, for the time being, forgets the kind of punishment which may be there, and God's orders which were there to do this thing and not to do that thing, he also is tempted and ignores. Now, there are two differences here. One, who is tempted by Satan, and who is tempted by not Satan, but by a human being. So here we see that Eve is the person who has been tempted by Satan successfully, because Satan believed that Eve can be tempted because she's not that strong in her belief. And so Adam should be convinced with the help of Eve. So that is the kind of situation. Though feminists would not agree with that, so certain modern theorists would not agree with that, but one has to read or follow or analyze the things which have been said in the biblical story, and later on which have been said by Milton in his poem Paradise Lost. So the things go like that, and both of these people agree to eat the fruit, and when they eat it, definitely the punishment, the wrath of God was ignited, and the punishment definitely was there, that these should be expelled from heaven. Immediately, both of these were expelled from there. So whole book 9 actually goes to deal with the process of temptation. 3 processes take place in this. Number 1, how does Satan convert himself into a snake? And then how he proceeds secretly to enter into heaven that nobody was expecting properly. No angel could detect him, or probably it was the orders of the God that he may be allowed to enter. We don't know. We very weak human beings don't know this. But somehow he enters into the paradise or the heaven secretly and approaches Eve. Eve, first of all, does not want to talk to him, doesn't want to listen to him even. And he, with the help of his gullibility, the kind of attractive words or the narrative, he tempts Eve to listen to him for a few moments, and that he is going to give her knowledge, and that knowledge would be very beneficial. So for the sake of knowledge, Eve was tempted, and Adam was tempted for knowledge also, but then he was more tempted because of the words which Eve was saying, that she wanted to do something, and how Adam could refuse that. His rationality, his power to resist something which may take him away from the love of God, all these things for the time being went to sleep. And both of these people agreed to the suggestion of this devil that they may be entering into that arena where fruit of knowledge should be eaten by them, and that fruit of knowledge will provide him tremendous knowledge. And because of this temptation, both of these people definitely were likely to be punished by God. And dear students, in this way, we see that book 9 is all about this story. Book 9 should also be taken in the sense that how much we are obedient and where our obedience becomes a type of resistance. What is the matter with us? And that thing is definitely our own issue of being emotional, carrying good and evil side in us. God gave us rationality that we can decide. And gave us permission also to make a decision whether we should go the wrong way or the right way. Rationality does work there, but some of the human beings are there whose rationality goes to sleep, or they put it to sleep for some time only because they are being tempted. Temptation is always very much strong for the human being. As general human being also, if we look at that, we make number of mistakes, number of errors only because of this temptation. And our rationality, therefore, although awake all the time and is asking us not to do that, but still we do it. The same thing happened with Adam. So Adam was born with rationality, of course, but he could not resist in that way the temptation which was there. So in this way, there is a difference between human being and the angels, that angels have no temptation. This human being has this kind of temptation. And as a result, humanity fell on the ground, and ultimately we are still here and struggling to go back to heaven. So this is the summary of the whole book 9. I will be presenting to you critical perspective of the book 9 also by quoting some of the lines from Paradise Lost. You don't need to open the books. I shall be just reading the lines and telling you how you can see this book also critically with the theme of obedience, for example, and the tragic vulnerability of humanity. All these themes we shall be discussing in the next part of the lecture. So thank you for watching. Hope to see you in some next lecture.